Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Edward Elgar Publishing Limited, based in Cheltenham. They're an independent firm of publishers and they produce a very useful portfolio of law books, both for researchers and for practitioners. And I'm looking today particularly at a book which covers law and practice in the protection of geographical indications, and it's an important book from a number of points of view because it's a second edition. It's come to us from Michael Blakeney. It's available as an ebook as well as a hardback, but it's been quite a popular book. It's part of the Elgar Intellectual Property Law and Practice series, and I'm actually very impressed with what I have read so far about the book. Elizabeth and I talked about the book, and I did a sort of sketchy first draft, and Elizabeth came up with the final version. And we agreed a title, a popular book now in a second edition, as the UK leaves the EU in 2020. And what we're saying is that Michael Blakeney's new second edition, covering the law and practice of the protection of geographical indications, is most welcome. It arrives as the United Kingdom leaves the European Union after the general election in December 2019, when a decision was made and a government was formed. The book, therefore, forms part of Elgar's popular and incisive series, Intellectual Law and Practice. It's a series of titles which I think are very helpful to both practitioners and researchers alike. Now, what we have here is the writer, Michael Blakeney, encapsulates the most recent changes in the law which investigates European Union laws to regulate the way that geographical indications can be used in the marketing of agricultural products, food, wines and spirits and so forth. And obviously it's in a very important area for any economy, including the British economy, and an area beset, of course, by both legal and political controversy. Now, the author offers us key updates in this comprehensive second edition, which include the following areas of interest to what we think will be quite a wide readership base. Blakeney has introduced a new chapter considering the protection of the European Union geographical indications outside Europe itself through bilateral trade agreements and foreign geographical indications within the EU itself. Now, I say that because we are on the cusp at the moment of some very big changes here in Britain upon leaving the European Union, because the whole concept of the trade agreement is going to change as we seek new markets. And of course it is based on geography. We are global, of course, but that very much comes into it. And of course, in addition, new content has been added by the author exploring the impact of Brexit on the protection of UK geographical indications, which will, I think, be of particular relevance to everyone during the 11 months that's now going to elapse as Britain prepares for a final departure from the EU at the end of 2020. There's also, just for the more detailed aspects of the book, a most useful discussion of Regulation EU number 1308/2013, supplemented by the Commission Delegated Regulation 2019/33, dated the 17th of October 2018, and also the Commission Implementing Regulation 2019/34 of the 17th of October 2018. Now, I'm mentioning this both in the review and in this presentation because just because we're leaving the European Union doesn't mean to say all this stuff is just going to disappear. It isn't. So we've got to be very aware of what is happening, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Elgar series of books are so helpful. The author also examines the new regulation repealing Regulation number 110 of 2008, which was adopted on the 13th of March 2019, you see the long period of time, by the European Parliament. It's sad to report that much more work, I think, will need to be completed over what will be years rather than months before the UK finally breaks the main ties with the EU. So there are no short fixes in this. Obviously the difficulty for some of the Brexiteers was they just thought a wand could be waved and it would all be over. It's not like that at all. Elgar, of course, always offer what they call an analytical yet accessible series of titles in their law books collection. I'm very grateful to them. They make our lives a lot easier with the work that they do for us. And of course it does mean they're accessible, and there's a good piece of analysis which is helpful for both researchers and advocates. And of course the new edition is rightly described as, quote, a key resource for all IP practitioners who advise or work within the food and agricultural industries in the EU. And do remember what I've said, 2020 is going to be an era when we're looking very much at what is going to happen to food and agriculture as we leave the Common Agricultural Policy, as we leave the Common Fisheries Policy, and we start seeing things in a rather different way. And of course the book is of course also aimed at all those whose work involves geographical indications and designations of origin. Let me conclude by saying this. We agree entirely with the general view put forward by commentators and European Union watchers, as I call them, of all shades of opinion, that policymakers in the UK, including both the civil service and all of these think tanks that have grown up in recent years, that they will find Blakeney's work thoroughly fascinating, as I did. He offers us a great deal of value in the detailed discussions of where we are with Brexit in the 2020s and its more detailed implications in relation to IP as the decade unfolds, because I really don't know which direction we're going to go in. We do know as I speak that Britain is no longer signing up to all the copyright arrangements that we've got, so I do think we're in for a very substantial and probably a bit choppy period of change. The handbook edition, or sorry, the hardbook edition rather, of the book was published on the 13th of August 2019, and it's also available as an ebook. Let me just show you the book again. There it is, there's the front, there's the spine, and then there's the back. As I say, it's part of the Elgar IP Law and Practice series. If we go to the back of the book again, as I say, just to remind you, you've got very much the standard structure of paragraph numbering, and of course the front of the book, again, you have a lot of information. If I just open it in the middle, you can see again just looking at it, the contents, the simple contents section is very helpful. Then you've got the extended content section, as I say, and you've got quite a large amount of case law and so forth, and the legislation. And I did particularly like the structure with the introduction, with the short index. It could have been a bit longer possibly, I don't know. But if we go into the middle of the book, you can see again this is designations of origin and traditional terms for wines in Europe. Again, you see, very controversial area. And we've been linked for so long. You can see here some of the footnotes are quite substantial as well. But I think a lot of the book, again, actually not quite so bad in some places, but a lot of this book may well lead, probably not before too long, to another edition. But in the meantime, can I thank Michael, and can I thank certainly Elgar for continuing to publish these excellent works. They make our lives a lot easier, and I'm very grateful to everybody who's been involved in the publication of this work. Thank you. Bye-bye.